By the end of this video, you're gonna go from no idea how to make a website to a beautifully customized blog that looks like any of these live and online in less than an hour. It doesn't matter if you're planning on making money from your blog or if it's just a personal passion project, these steps are gonna guide you all the way across the finish line. I'll show you how to use the best free WordPress blogging theme perfect for any niche, and how even a complete beginner can customize it to look like this, or like anything you want. All you're gonna have to pay for is hosting, which with my discount code is gonna run you about $3 a month. And a little later, I'll even show you how you can use AI the right way to create gorgeous images for your posts for free and unlimited content that's gonna engage your readers and even sell your affiliate offers for you if that's your goal. So the first thing we need to do is get you set up with your website address and an affordable hosting plan. There's really no good way around this part, so let's just go over to wesmcdowell.com/hosting. All right, so if you followed that link, you'll wind up on a page like this. It may look different from you. They change the look of it from time to time, but what you want to look at over here is the deal you're going to get. So right now their deal is $199 a month. That's better than it usually is. So if you see this price, go ahead and jump on it. I would. But with this price, you get a free domain for the first year. In other words, your .com name. You get a security certificate, which is great for Google, and all these things that just make it really easy to use. So I'm going to click on Get Started Now. Now from here, you make a choice of which plan you want. For 99% of you, I would say basic is just fine, unless you have an e-commerce or anything like that. But if just a basic website, let's go with the first option. Now here's where they're going to ask if you already have a domain name you own or if you want to create a new one. So for instance, if you already have, yourbusinessname.com, you would just type it in here, then click Next. And if not, you're going to need to get one at this point. So you would just type in whatever you think your website address should be here. And then you choose your extension. .com is almost always the way to go. There's all these other ones, but people get confused by them. So highly recommend just sticking with .com if you can, and then just click on Next. And if it's available, it'll say so. If not, you just have to get more creative and try again. You're just going to go ahead and fill in all this information for yourself and then choose the service term. 12 months is going to get you the best deal, so I'm going to stick with that. And right here, we're seeing we got the domain name for free here. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck all these extras. They're really not needed. So it says apply coupon code, but we've already used the link, which functions as the coupon code, nothing to do there. So you have a website for a full year for under $24, not bad at all. We're just gonna go ahead and fill in payment information now, uncheck this so you don't get emails from them, and then click on submit. Okay, so the purchase went through and it took about a minute just to build out WordPress and we wound up right here. So we're gonna skip over all of this stuff and we're just gonna go up to exit to WordPress and click on exit. Okay, so here we are inside of the WordPress dashboard. So what shows up for you right here may look a little different for you. Again, they change it from time to time, but what you're really looking for is everything over here, this panel where it has things like posts, media, pages. That's all the really important stuff. And I will show you how to add a post later, but first we have to actually create the website that we're gonna put the posts on. So the first step to do that is to actually add our theme. So we're gonna go down to Appearance and Themes. So the theme is basically just like the visual wrapper for your website. And there are a lot of great ones specifically for blogs, but there's one that I think outshines all the rest and it's completely free. So we're gonna go down to where it says add new theme and we're going to search for Blocksy. Here it is right here. Now this one just has all the bells and whistles you're ever gonna need right out of the gate. Super easy to customize. It can look however you want it to look. It's really awesome. So I'm just gonna click on install and then activate. Okay, so we're almost ready to use our theme, but we need one more thing. We need to install the Blocksy companion. This is just gonna bring in more components that we're gonna need to use. So I'm gonna click on that. Now we're not gonna worry about any of these things just yet. We'll handle these a little later, but for now we're gonna go over to starter site. So this is gonna let us have kind of a base of what it's going to look like. Now, a lot of these are more for traditional websites, right? Like a cosmetic company, real estate. So what we wanna do is we wanna go all the way down to the bottom. May be different for you by the time you get to this. For now, it's the last one. It's called News. Now this is perfect for any blog you can think of. I'm gonna click on Import. And we're gonna click right here. You definitely wanna do that and then click on Next, Next, and then on Install. Now this is just gonna take a few minutes to bring everything in and then we can get building. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and click on View Site just to see what we're starting from. So here's the look without any customization yet. So basically, we can change things like the fonts, the accent color, obviously the logo, how the header is arranged up top. We can change pretty much anything to achieve any look you want. So in order to customize this, we're just gonna go up to where it says Customized, go figure. Okay, so the first thing we probably want to do, let's just start right up at the top with the header. So how do we change this to make it fit your own brand, your logo, all that good stuff? Well, we're just going to go over to the sidebar where it says header. Now this is pretty cleverly arranged. So what we have here, if you look up top, we have basically 2 levels of the header. You can see this one up here, it's dark. It has its own set of links. It's got some social icons right up here. Then the logo, then the main menu, and a button. And you can see this is mimicked down here as well. So this is a 3-layer menu. They give you the option for as many as 3 layers. There's nothing in the bottom row right now. That's why you're only seeing 2. We've got the logo, we've got the menu, the button, then we have the search icon right up here, socials, and menu 2. So we'll talk about setting menus in a bit, but for now, like let's say you wanted to set all your social icons, you would just click right here. And then you can get rid of any you don't have. Like if you don't have Pinterest, you would just X that out. And if there's one that you have that's not up here, you would search for it right here. So we have like Apple Podcasts, Behance, all these different things. I mean, if you're a designer and you have Dribbble, you just click that and you'd click the plus icon. And then from there, you can rearrange these however you want to. You can go to design and you can change the colors for them. Right now, it's got a initial color of this gray, but you could change it to anything you want. And then the hover state, which is when you actually hover over it with your mouse, you can change that to whatever you want. All really customizable. And if you wanted to change the background color of this whole bar, you would just click on the top row, then go to design, and you can choose whatever background color you want right here. But let's say you don't even need this top row. You just want to make it super simple. Well, all you really need to do is just X all of these different things off, just one at a time, and then it disappears. When there's nothing in there, it leaves. Let's say you don't need the button, right? You could click on it and you can change the text over here if you want to do that. You can change where the link goes, and you can even change the design. You can change the colors the same way we did before. Just choose any color you want to, but let's say you don't need it. I'm just going to click on the X, and you can move things around however you want to. Let's say we wanted to have the logo centered with the menu centered underneath it. So how would we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do is I'm going to move the menu down here into the middle column. And I'm going to do the same with the logo right here. I'm going to drag that into the middle column, which looks like it's only 2, but then once you start dragging things, a 3rd column opens up in the middle there magically for you. And then maybe we want a search icon over here too, so that people can actually find what they're looking for on your site. So the way you do that is over here on the panel, you have all these different elements that you can drag over. So I'm just going to find the search, and I'm just going to drag it right where I want it next to the menu over here. And let's say I want that to be a little bit more in your face so that people can actually find it. We'll just click on that, and then under general icon size, we'll just bump it up to wherever we think looks good. We can even make it a little darker if we want. Let's go to design and choose something a little darker gray. Yeah, I think something like that looks nice. Now let's go ahead and change our logo. So let's click on it, and you'll go over here where it says logo, and you'll click on the little pencil icon. Then you just find the icon on your computer, the file of it, and then you just drag it right over here, and then click on select. And then from there you can change the height of it, the size of it, all that good stuff. One thing though that's bothering me, there's a lot of space between the logo and the menu. So let's go ahead and try to tighten that up. We're just going to go down to the bottom row and click on the gear. And then under minimum height, let's drop that down. We can just eyeball it to where we think it looks good, maybe something around 40. Now let's just take a look at our menu real quick. I'll show you what we can do with that. We'll click on menu. So there's things we can do like with item spacing. So if we wanted to make them a little more spread out, we can do a look like that. We can go to design and we can change things like the font. If we choose this, we can choose whatever we want to down here from literally thousands of Google fonts. There's plenty of options. We can change the size, the weight of it. If we wanted to change the font color to something just a little more neutral rather than with that blue tint, we can do that. Looking pretty good. Now we're just going to click on this little back arrow. We'll go to headers, global header. So one thing you'll notice here, if we scroll down, the header disappears. It goes right up with the top of the page. You don't really want that. You want people to be able to go to whatever page they want to at any point of them scrolling down. So what we do, we'll just click on sticky functionality. So now let's try scrolling down and see what happens. Okay, so the top row scrolls, but the bottom row doesn't. So we have to turn it on to where it shows main and bottom row, because that's what we have here. We have main and bottom, so click right there. Now when you scroll down, it all stays together. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna click on publish just to save all of our changes. Really important to do that as you go. So now we are going to go to the back button and we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna go down to footer. So let's check that out. So footer is obviously the part at the bottom of the page where we have, right here we have posts, we have some links, just some kind of random stuff here. And the way the footer works is just like how the header worked. We have 3 different levels, we have all these different widgets. You can customize them if you want. If you want to keep your popular posts here, that's one way to go. If you want your contact info, great. I'm just going to simplify this quite a bit. I'm going to get rid of everything in the second row. I don't know that it's needed. So now we're left with just social icons, your menu, and your copyright line. That's it. And we can change the design by going up to design and choosing a new icon color. Like maybe we just want it to be a little more medium gray. But how about the background? Right now it's set to this like light blue color. It's easy to change. We're just going to go to where it says top row and the gear icon. And then we're going to go to design. And we can change it to any color we want just by clicking here. You can play around on the slider here, get any color you want. Or if you already have a color you know you want, you have the code for it, you can just paste that right in here. And then you would have to do the same thing for the bottom row. So click on the gear, design, background, and I'm just going to type in the same number there. Okay, great. So speaking of colors, let's go and look at how we change the colors for your whole site right now. So we're going to click on the arrow. We want to get back to the main customization area. And you guessed it, I'm going to click right on colors. So you've got some good options here. If you go up to global color palette and you click these 3 little dots and just click on color palettes, it's going to have all of these pre-made palettes for you if you choose to use them. You can obviously bring in your own colors if you want to do that. But if you're not really a designer and you just kind of want to go with something, you've got some really solid options here. So maybe you like this one right down here, palette 12, that automatically changes the colors around the whole site. So these little boxes, links, the boxes over here. It just thinks through everything for you, which is really nice. But let's say you wanted more close control of the colors you're going to use. You're just going to come right back up and you're going to change these colors one by one. So here we have, this is what I would consider color 1 to be like the main accent color of the site. You can see it says orange across the board here. Then I believe this color is kind of the hover color. So just change it one by one. Color 3 looks like it might be just the text. And I think color 4 is the headline text color. You get the picture, but the other color that you really want to give some serious thought to is down here where it says site background. So right now it's this really soft light gray color, which works perfectly fine. You don't have to change it. But if you were going after a certain look, you would just click on it and you can change it to anything from really dark. You can do a gradient if you want. So if you wanted something, and they've got all these cool gradients for you to choose from. So there's some really interesting looks here if you wanted to go for something specific. You can do that, or just kind of like a light to dark. Tons of different options for you, even some lighter, more subtle ones down here too. Just make sure that whatever background color you choose or gradient you choose works together with the main accent colors you're using. You could even do a background image. I don't probably recommend that. I think that's going to look too busy most of the time, but it's there for you if you want it. I'm just going to go to color and I'm going to choose something nice and subtle. I'm just going to go ahead and paste in this color. It's just kind of a nice light beige. It'll go with almost anything. Okay, so with colors out of the way, let's click on publish just to save our changes again. Let's click on the back button. Now we're going to look at typography. So if you have a specific font you want to use, this is where you would do it. For most of the time, again, if you're not a designer, the fonts they have here right out of the box are perfectly fine. I think they look very nice. But if you go to the Google Fonts website, just explore and see if there's anything that catches your eye there. And you can make your entire site just based on Google Fonts. So there's one that I really like. So I'm just going to click here and I'm going to look for Montserrat. So I'm just going to select that. So when I chose that Montserrat font for the base font, that filtered down through all of these. But if you ever want to have closer control over a certain type of headline, you can just go to that specific one and you can change it to whatever you want to change it to. You can change the bolding, the size, all that good stuff. But I think out of the box, this looks pretty good. I'm not going to screw around with it too much because I think that generally will only lead to problems. So let's go ahead and stay with this. Now we get to have a little bit more fun and choose what our blog posts are actually going to look like. So let's hit the back button again, and we will go down under post types. We're going to go to blog posts. So when it says blog posts, this is what it's referring to. This like homepage basically where it's showing all the different posts you have. A little later, we'll get to what each individual post is going to look like. But for now, let's stick with this homepage layout. So you've got these different options here. You've got 5 of them. So we're going to click on each one. So this one, option 1 looks like this. Option 2 is a more full width display. Then we have a grid. And then we have, this is my favorite one, the enhanced grid. If you click on that, so it goes in 2 different columns. So we have 2, then it goes to 3, then back to 2. So it just has a little bit of variance, which is nice when people are scrolling down a page so everything doesn't look exactly the same the whole time. Then as we scroll down, we can choose the number of posts that'll show on any given page. I think 10 is a good number. That way it doesn't take too long to load. And then they'll just see this pagination stuff where, go to the next page for the rest. So we're going to tackle card options a little later, and we can skip this. But now we have page elements. So let's see what we mean. We have this sidebar up here. I don't think it's super necessary to have this here because we're already looking at all the most recent posts, right? So I'm going to clean it up and just check this off. In pagination, you want that on. We can make it a little bit more fun with the cards reveal effect. So let's go ahead and click on that. That's what happens. So you scroll down and they all kind of animate in, which is it's a nice effect. I highly recommend keeping that on. Okay, so now let's go back down to card options. So I'm going to click on this. So let's see what we're looking at here. I'm actually going to go to this row where it's easier to see everything at once. So what we have here are a few different elements for every post. We have the category cards. We have the title of the post, the featured image, an excerpt of the post, and then some, meta elements, the author, the date, that kind of stuff. And this is all accounted for over here in order. So for instance, you could drag the title underneath the featured image, and that's where that would go then. So let's say you didn't really want to have these category cards. All you need to do is just click on the X and they go away. And for the excerpt, we're just going to click on the little eyeball icon to hide that. For some reason, the X option isn't available for that, so not sure why that is, but it works the same way. We can just hide stuff as we need to. So let's say we want to keep the author, but not the date. I actually recommend hiding dates on blog posts for the simple fact that most of the time, blog posts can be very evergreen, right? People can read them and get value out of them at any time in the future, but people's brains are kind of wired to, if they see that a post is old, they kind of don't want to read it. So I'm just going to click on post meta. I'm going to hide taxonomies and I'm going to click on author. And of course you could hide it all together. If you didn't want even the author, just click on the eyeball icon and you're good to go. But one thing we're missing here is actually a button that tells people that they can read the rest of the story, right? So to turn something on, we're just going to find it. It's grayed out here. That means it's hidden. We're going to turn it on by clicking on the eyeball. And there we go. And if we click on this downward arrow, we can choose how that's displayed. Right now, it has a background color. It's a button. We can make it simple to where it's just text, or we could do it outlined. I think I'm just going to go back to simple. And if you want to change the text, maybe you want it to say, read story instead of read more. You can show an arrow if you want. And I think that looks pretty good. Now you've got a few more options under card type. So right now it's set to boxed. Let's see what the other options look like. Click on simple. So that gets rid of the border behind it. So we're just looking at the background color of the site, or we have cover where all of the text is actually on top of the image. Now, if you go with this route, you're going to have to do a little bit of design work. You'd have to make sure like the text is white and all that good stuff. I tend to shy away from this one simply because you have to put such a dark overlay on the image to make it read that it kind of dulls everything. So that's why I don't like this one as much. So I'm going to go back to box. This one's my personal favorite, but there's still more we can do. So we can click on design to really customize it the way we want. You can obviously change the fonts and everything one at a time if you wanted to override the settings you already have. You can change the background color of the card. If you just click on that, you can make it whatever you want. I happen to think white looks the best by far here. You can add a border around it. So if you clicked on, I'd probably choose a solid line. I think the dotted lines can probably look a little funky. And then you can just change the width of it. You can change the color of it to whatever you want it to be. But I think I like it better without a border. So I'm just going to click right here and then choose none. You can have a drop shadow here. You can just click here and change the values here. You can just kind of bring it off to the side a bit, or like so. You can do all these different things with it and change the color of it right here as well. So if you wanted to make it black, ooh, that's way too much. Yeah, so I'm probably just going to disable this for now. I don't think it's needed. And then here's one you might want to do, border radius. So this is what's going to achieve that little kind of rounded corners look. So we just go down here to border radius and let's just play around with it. I think something like that looks pretty good, around 8. But hopefully you're starting to see how customizable this is and how all these elements can be tweaked to really give you any look you want. Okay, so now let's click on Publish to save our changes. And now we're going to take a look at how we can actually change the look of an individual blog post. So let's click on this back arrow and one more time. And then we'll go down to where it says single post. And now we actually have to be looking at a single post to see all these changes in effect. So just go ahead and click on the first post here. Okay, so here's what we've got. And if we scroll down, we can see that this page pretty much mimics this first option here where we have a nice big featured image. We basically have a 1-column layout, pretty simple. Let's see what the other options would look like. Option 2, I think that's just a wider layout is all we get there. Then we get a left sidebar with option 3 or a right sidebar with option 4. And I'm going to go with this. I think having a sidebar on the right side is a better way to go, just from a usability standpoint. Now we've got some choices to make, like do you want the content to be on the background color of the site or do you want it to be boxed? I tend to think this is a better way to go. It's going to be easier to read. It depends on the background, obviously, but if you were going for a more kind of crazy, colorful background, you would definitely want this just to make that easy on people. And as we scroll down, I would just keep content area vertical spacing where it is. And now for post elements, so this is interesting. There's a few things you probably want to check on. One would be a share box, so that it makes it easy for people to share your article. You definitely want that. If you're going all the trouble to create these articles, you want to make it easy for people to put the word out. And you might want an author box too. Maybe you take guest posts from people and you want to be able to give them an author box. So I would definitely keep these on. Now, featured image, this one's a little strange to me because technically the featured image is already up here. But if you turn this on, it's going to repeat it right here. You don't want that. There's no point to that. So we leave that off and the rest of these as well. And then under page elements, I like to have related posts on. That way, if people like the article, it's going to show them other articles that are similar to the one they just saw. So let's go down and see what that looks like. It pops up at the bottom of the page just like this. Now comments, that is up to you. I like to turn comments off because I feel like you just get a lot of spam when you leave them on. Up to you though. If you really want to encourage comments and engagement, go ahead and leave that on. Now if we go up to design, there's a few more things we can change here too. Scrolling up, we definitely want post title on. If we got rid of that, the whole top image with the title goes away. So obviously we want to keep that on. Now scrolling down, so we have content area background, that's this. I would almost always leave that on white. Content area shadow, you could have like a shadow underneath it. It looks like there's a really subtle one going on right now. I'm not going to change that, but if you click on adjust, you can change all these values and make it look however you want to. You can add a border around the content area. I already showed you how to do that. And we've got a little border radius around here. Maybe we want to mimic what we had on the homepage, so make that 8. And that just makes it a little bit more rounded here. Then content area padding. So padding refers to the area right in here. So from the edge to where the words start, that's padding. It's about 40 pixels wide right now. Looks good to me. I wouldn't change it. And then scrolling down, yeah, nothing really more here. Okay, so one last area to look at here, which is this top section with your title. So we'll just hover over this and click on edit. So here we can make a major choice. So type 1 looks like this, which does not include the featured image. Type 2 obviously does. That's what we were working with originally. I happen to like this better, but it's a personal preference for sure. And then let's go up to design. And obviously you can change the fonts, all that kind of stuff here. The main thing I want to show you that's new is this image overlay color. So right now, you have to put some kind of a color overlay over an image for the text to be able to be read on top of it. Because if you don't, it depends on the image, but it can just get lost. So right now, let's just click on the color. It looks like it's kind of set to like almost a blue tint. That may not always work for what you want. So what I recommend is just probably making that much more of a gray with no real color in it at all. And you can make it more transparent. You can make it a little less transparent, whatever you want. I feel like something like this looks pretty good to my eye. And gradient, I would encourage you not to even mess with it. Too much can go wrong there. I think a solid color is the way to go. Now back under general, if you want to get rid of any of these elements here, you're just going to go under elements to post meta and then the little drop down. I'm going to hide publish date for the reason I said before, and I'll just keep the author name and the category. And then if you wanted to change, so it's got like this little backslash here. If you want to change that, just go to items divider. You could choose none, you could do a dash, or you could do a bullet. That's just really dealer's choice, totally up to you. Now I'm going to click on publish. And we can move on now to our next category here. So I'm going to click on the back button and one more time to get us to the main menu. And I'm going to go down to categories. This is basically what the categories page looks like. Let's say we're here and I want to click on trends to get to all the different blog posts under that category. I'd click here. So this is what that looks like. So basically, it looks pretty much like the homepage did, right? So you probably just want to mimic exactly what you did on the homepage. So if you remember, we did enhanced grid there, or I did. You may have done something different. By the way, feel free to make it different on this as well. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. These are the ones I tend to stay away from, okay? The first one and the second one, because these two, they require you to scroll down too far to find stuff. I tend to like the ones with multiple columns, so it's easier for people to kind of get where they're going. So for that reason, I like number 4. Number 3 works too. Now let's scroll down. We'll just keep it on 10 like we did before. Card options. Remember, we have simple, boxed, or cover. We chose box last time, so I'm going to stick with that. But if you chose simple, for instance, you would probably want to stick with what you did on the home page. I'll get rid of the post meta here. That means the category. I will put the title underneath the featured image. I'll hide the excerpt. And under post meta drop down, I'm going to hide the published date. Then from there, we can change things like the card's gap, make it more of a gap between, then inner card spacing. We can change that around, but I think it was all good before. And then of course we can go up to design and we can change all the card background color. If you change this to a different color, you'd probably want to repeat it here. Same with the border and the shadow and the border radius. If you remember, I did a radius of 8 just to kind of round the edges out a bit. And now it looks pretty much like it did on our homepage. So mission accomplished there. I'm just going to click on publish and then click on back and one more time. And now we're going to go down to author page. So what's the author page? Well, that is like, let's say you're on an article and someone clicks on the link for the author. And in this case, they're all linked to me. So I'm just going to click on the name right there. Then it brings you to a page where it has the name of the author, how many articles they wrote, when they joined. It basically, again, it mimics the homepage. So we're just going to do all the same stuff we just did. Maybe this time we want to just choose the normal grid. We don't need the back and forth between 2 and 3 columns. So I'm just going to make it easy with the normal grid. We'll leave columns and number of posts the same. Again, here's where you would do simple, boxed, or cover, and where we would eliminate individual elements or change them around. I'm going to, once again, hide post meta. I'm going to drag the title under the featured image. I'm going to hide the excerpt. And under post meta, I'm going to get rid of publish date. So it should all be looking familiar now. And then I'm going to go back up to design. And again, if you changed any of these values before, you'd want to repeat those. And I'm just going to change the border radius back to 8 for consistency, and then click on publish to save. Okay, so let's go back up to the back button. And again, to get to the main menu one more time. And we're just going to do this one more time for the search page. So this is the same idea. Let's just go up to the search bar and I would type in something like WordPress if I'm looking for an article about that. Okay, so Basically, it's the search results page, right? So when people search for something, this is what it'll show. There only happens to be one here with WordPress in the title. So we're going to go through the exact same steps we just did. Okay, so having made all the same changes, I'm just going to click on Publish again. So now let's just click right here to go back to the home page. Clicking on the logo will always bring you back to the homepage. We're almost done, but there's still a really important step because I don't know if you know this, more than half of people coming to your blog are going to be coming there from their mobile devices. So we need to make sure it looks good on that as well. The good news is most things have already been figured out within the theme, but we definitely do want to do a reality check just to make absolutely sure that it looks good. So all we need to do is come down here to the bottom left. We have these different icons. So we've got a desktop logo, we've got tablet, and we've got mobile. So let's start with mobile. I'm going to click on that. So this gives us a preview of what the site's going to look like. So far, I think it all looks pretty good. Again, almost everything has been thought out as part of it. So you'll notice you click on the little menu icon. Here we go with the menu, and we've got, the logo right up here, but so far everything looks pretty good. I'm just gonna make sure that our actual, blog posts themselves also look good. Yeah, nothing is standing out to me as needing fixing, so I think we're pretty good to go there. So basically now the site, let's just go back to our desktop. The site itself is now designed and it's ready for your content. So let's take a look at how you're going to add new content to your site. So right now we have to actually leave this environment and we have to go back out to our WordPress dashboard. So all we're going to do, we're going to click on the X up here, and then we'll just go right up here where it has the name of your site and we'll go to dashboard. Okay, so here we are again inside the WordPress dashboard. Now there's a couple things that I would encourage you to do here. There's a lot of plugins that came with your site when you first installed it that you probably don't need. And that's what's cluttering all this up. So I'm just gonna go down to plugins and then installed plugins. Then I'm gonna choose all of them right here. I'm going to uncheck Blocksy Companion. That's the only one I think we actually need here. Yep, and then I'm just gonna go back up to bulk actions, deactivate, apply. For some reason, we have to deactivate them before we can delete them. I'm not sure why, but so I'm gonna choose them again and then uncheck Blocksy Companion to keep that. And then under bulk actions, delete, and then apply. And then choose OK. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do, if we go to posts and all posts, so when we installed that Blocksy Companion plugin, the good thing is it gave us all of these posts so we could kind of visually see what it would look like. The bad news is these aren't real posts, so we have to delete them, right? So I'm just going to select all of them by clicking here, and then under bulk actions, move to trash and apply. Okay, so now you're starting completely from scratch. Everything you put on your site will now be your own. The way we add a new post is under posts, add new post. So here's where you would add the title. Maybe you have a pet blog, I'm not sure, but something like this. And then right here, this is where you would just click here, you would start typing out your article. I just kind of quickly whipped something up on ChatGPT, so I'm just gonna paste that in here. So we've got a full article, and they probably call it Blocksy because it comes with all these different content blocks that you can add to make your posts more engaging. This is really effective, especially when you're trying to sell affiliate products. So if you want to add a different element, you just kind of hover over where you want it, click the plus sign. And here are like the main things, right? If you want a heading, an image, a gallery, a list, or a quote. But then there's other things too. If you click on Browse All, you have all these different elements that you can bring in. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these things. You can explore them on your own, but there's a lot of different formatting tricks, a lot of different interesting things you can bring in. Things like a table if you're trying to compare different products to each other, or a pull quote. We've all seen those in magazines and on blog posts and can be engaging. But for now, let's just do a simple image. I'm just going to click on image over here, and then let's go to media library, upload files, and then you just find whatever image you want to use. I'm just going to drag one from my desktop right here, and then click on select. And at the beginning of this video, I did promise you a way to kind of create images like this. So what you're gonna wanna do, you've got a couple choices here. You can either go to ideogram.ai, it's completely free, Or you can go to ChatGPT. Now, if you're using the new version 4.0, this should be free for you as well. So you're just gonna type in exactly what you're looking for. In this case, photo of a dog sitting on the floor of a bar patio during golden hour. Then you just choose the dimensions you want and then generate. And now we've got 4 choices to choose between. If you like this one, you click on it, and then you can just click right here and then go down to download. Or let's try the exact same prompt over on ChatGPT and see what we get. The only difference here is you only get one at a time, and these ones tend to look a little less photorealistic. So yeah, and this one actually does look pretty good. So it's up to you then to choose whichever one you want to go with. And another thing you're going to definitely want to know how to do, especially if this is an affiliate site and you're trying to link to different products, super easy to do. You can probably figure it out. If you've used Google Docs or anything like that, you just highlight the text you want to link to, you click on the link icon right here, and then you just type in, the link to the product that you're actually trying to link to. Then, of course, you might want to give this a category too. So we'll go under categories, and this already came with a bunch of them from the Blocksy theme. So let's say none of these really work. You just click on add new category. Just type in something like, dog products, and then add new category. And then I would get it out of uncategorized because now it is categorized. And the one thing we're missing now is that featured image. Because remember when you're looking at the grid of all the blog posts for the site, they all have an image attached to them. Now, just putting an image inside of the blog post does not accomplish that for you. So this one would not show up as a featured image. We have to do that separately. So we're still under post here. Let's collapse categories, and we'll go down to featured image and then set featured image. And we'll go to upload files. And then again, you just drag it right over from your computer onto the stage here and then set featured image. Now that's not going to show for you here, but that is the image that will show when we're looking at the site. So I'm going to click on update, or it might have said publish. I actually published this earlier. You got to click on publish for it to actually take effect. So now I want to see what this is actually going to look like. So I'm going to click on the WordPress icon here. And then under the site name, I'm going to click on visit site to see what we've got. Perfect. So we've got one post now, and that's the featured image showing through. And if I click on the article title, there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Got the whole article. We got that image here. It's all looking really nice. But one thing that's missing now, so look at this menu. Look at these different items. You may have a need for an About Us page or a contact form, but really what these should be, if we're talking about a blog, we should definitely have your top categories for posts right up here. So how do we change what's on the actual menu here? Well, we're just going to click on the WordPress logo to go back to our dashboard, and we're going to go down to appearance and menus. So this is our main menu, and these are all the different pages that are on that menu. You'll notice some are nested underneath. I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. So we have these, like Gutenberg blocks is the main one, then all these are nested underneath it. We have the same thing under pages. So what we can do here, if you want to just get rid of all of these, we can just click on bulk select, and then I'm just going to select each of these individually. And then I'll click remove selected items. Now the menu is empty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to categories, and I'm going to view all. So now you would just choose the categories that you want to include here. So I'm just going to choose, 5 at random basically, and then add to menu. And then you can reorder them. You can even nest them like that. So if we had cars under architecture, which wouldn't make much sense, but we'll go ahead and order them however we want, then save menu. Now if we take another look, let's go ahead and refresh this page. And now we should have, yep, there we go. Now we have all the different categories here. If we were to click on architecture, that would probably be blank. But if we click on dog products, we have our post right here. So now we have the blog itself, but what about the articles to put on your blog to start attracting traffic and to sell your affiliate products? That used to be super time consuming, but thanks to ChatGPT, it's really easy now. And I've got you covered in this video. So click right here and I'm going to show you my entire system for using ChatGPT the right way to generate unlimited amounts of content that's SEO optimized and ready to sell your offers. So click here and let's finish this up.